Hello guys, welcome to the network. Today I'm going to be replacing a failing hard drive in my NAS. So the first thing, we're in the dashboard right now. Let's go ahead and look at the stats. We're going to go to disk, and I'm going to select the failing hard drive, which is 88.5, and we're going to compare it to 88.4. So let's look at disk busy. So if you could see right here, compared to a normal hard drive, the busy percentage rate hovers around 4%, spiking at 7. On the failing hard drive, you can see, however, we have occasional spikes almost near 100. Well, actually, this one right here is at 107% busy, so that hard drive is not responding at all. Back out a little bit more. You see the drive gets a little busy here, right? But this one's peaking higher. So this may have been when I was writing something. We'll back out some more. See, we got some issue right there. Back out a little more. You see, this is going to 43. This is going to 60%. So let's go ahead and take a look at disk latency. Here's where we immediately see a problem. You'll see right here on the normal hard drive, these peak at like 21 millisecond max. However, on the failing hard drive, it peaks to around 1,048 milliseconds. So almost 2 seconds there of latency response time on that. That's very bad. Take a look here. You can see the drive was a little busy here, but take a look at our read and writes max. And this is in milliseconds, and look down here. See how it's thousands? So this drive is taking a long time to respond. It looks like mostly, well, and read and writes looks like they're failing there. Very high latency from the failing hard drive. We'll look at pending I/O. You'll see the hard drives are getting about the same amount of requests sent to them. It's just this drive down here is failing. So when you have a failing hard drive, you'll want to go to storage and disk, and you're going to want to get the serial number. So we have the serial number written down. That will help us identify the drive when we take apart our FreeNAS and take a look at it. So we can look in here. Let's take a look at the smart test. I've already ran a long smart test against it. You can also do this via the command line using smartctl. But if you look right here, we look at the previous results that I've ran, both shorts, extendeds, and I also have ran some longs. You can see failed. So you can see this drive is also failing smart test. If I look over on the command lines, I see that we have 2 power off for tracks, load cycle count 66, multi-zone error rate is 1. Okay, so we're getting some multi-zone error rates, and this is failed. So the first thing I want to do is I want to update the FreeNAS to the latest version. So let's go ahead and do that while we're at it. So you'll see we're going to be going from 13U5.1 to 13U5.3. We'll go ahead and click download updates. Apply updates and reboot system after downloading. Yes. Okay, so now the system's going to go ahead and update. We'll let it go ahead and do that. Here we go. Now it's finally updating. This is why you don't install TrueNAS on flash drives. When I go to move this over to a Dell PowerEdge, we won't be using flash drives for the base OS anymore. Notice the system still doesn't have network links, so it's taking a really long time to reboot. There we go. Wow. That was a little scary, guys. So we're going to go ahead and log into it now. I was getting a little worried there, guys. There we go. Okay. Took a while for it to get Oh, look. That was earlier. So that was not today. Okay. So we're going to check for updates again. Just make sure this is up to date, so no updates available. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into Storage, Pools. And here we have Cabinet. So we'll click this and we'll click Unlock. And we'll use our Gelly key to unlock it. Hopefully it will properly unlock, right? Even with a somewhat failing hard drive, right? It took a really long time for it to do that update and reboot, so we'll see. Oh, look down here, guys. See right here, ADA5, ATA status. Look at that. See down here, guys? That drive is causing problems. Retrying command. There we go. Cabinet unlocked. Degraded. Look at that, guys. Look at that. So we look on here. You could see right here that it's trying to read right here. Trying to read from ADA5. But it's still unlocked the pool. It's still unlocked the pool. Our data's still there. That's good. Let's check for, let's see what the status says here. Okay. Anything else we can do? Nope. Okay. Scrub a pool cabinet finish. That was the 5th. Today's the 15th, so we can dismiss that. Dismiss. Here we go, guys. Pool cabinet state is degraded. One or more devices could not be opened. Sufficient replicas exist for the pool to continue functioning in a degraded state. The following devices are not healthy, right here. And it tells you the disk model and the, that's critical. Okay, so we finally got that degraded state. See, before I even rebooted the system and everything, the pool was never downgraded. It was always functional. It was just having those latency spikes. But now the pool is officially marked as degraded. So we're going to click on disk. You see ADA5 right here. It still shows the disk is online, but we'll mark that as offline. We'll click on dashboard here. Yep. Right here. Total disk 6. Pool status degraded. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do this. So we'll go to storage, disk, our drive. You want to make sure you guys get the number before the drive completely drops off the planet. So make sure you get the serial number of the failing drive, which is 885. So there's our serial. I already have this marked down, documented well before this. So we'll click expand. Here it'll tell us all of our additional info for it. There should be a place to mark this as offline. Let's see here. 885. You click on the dashboard. You click on where your pool is. You click on pool status. And it's in here. Derp. And this is actually where you can offline and replace that. Okay, now we're making progress. So it's under pull status. So right here is our third or our failed drive. We're going to go ahead and shut the system down and replace the failed drive. So I'll go ahead and do that. Yep. We'll go ahead and click shut down, confirm. Okay, so the file server has now been turned off. We are now going to unplug the power and the networking and remove it. So I'm getting behind there. I'm unplugging the power and I'm unplugging the 10 gig fiber cable for networking. I do apologize about the lighting. This is in a small bedroom shoved up into a closet. It will later be upgraded and moved downstairs into the server room, into the server rack, I should say. And later on, it will be transitioned into a Dell PowerEdge R730XD. So as you can see in my hand right there, there is the 10 gig multi-mode fiber, and I just pulled out the SFP module. To keep the fiber and module clean, I'm going to connect the fiber cable back into the SFP Plus module. Just like that. And that will protect both the end of the fiber and also the transceiver. Now the tricky part is getting this unit down off the shelf. Now I gotta tell you, this has 6 hard drives in it. And this thing is heavy. So I gotta move stuff out of my way because this closet has a lot of stuff in the way. And this unit is very heavy. This is when I need a couple people to help me. But nonetheless, I will get it down. Slowly but surely, I'm trying to position it to where I can get a good angle on it without pulling my back out. Getting up higher and getting a better grip. And I finally have it. And it is extremely heavy. So I'm slowly making my way down. I do not want to drop this. And there we go. It has been extracted from the closet. Okay, so the TrueNAS has now been out of the closet. So we're going to clean out the filters and dust it out before we proceed because this unit has been in production for several years. So there's the back of the TrueNAS. I'm taking all the filters out, including the power supply filter, which is all the way on the bottom of the case, but nicely it pulls out from the front. And as you can see, it does need to be cleaned, so we will run that under the sink. Okay, so we're at the sink. We're going to go ahead and clean out these filters, both the front intake fan filter and the bottom power supply filter. And yes, it's going to be embarrassingly dusty. But this is what happens when you have a production server that's beyond 24/7. And I do routinely take these filters out and clean them. But even in the course of a month or even 3 months, they do get pretty dusty again. So I find the best way to clean these type of filters is just run it under the sink and then let the filters air out completely air dry out, and then put them back in. Obviously, do not put them in right after you wash them out, right? Because water, you gotta wait until it fully dries. And if you can't tell from the steam, I'm using hot water. Doesn't really matter, but it won't hurt it. And I just set them right there on that little drying rack. And then wait until they dry to put them back on. Okay, so we got the file server outside, ready to be dusted out. So we're going to go ahead and take off the side panel. And that will expose the inside. So the inside doesn't look as bad as the fans and the filters, right? But it still needs to be dusted out. Might as well do it while we're working on the system or physically inside of it. So as you guys can see, those fans have seen better days. The inside of the unit. So as you can see, there is 6 hard drives in there. We're going to go ahead and dust it out. Got my air blower going. I'm going to just dust it out like so. Fan spinning a little bit's okay. That's not going to hurt it. Just don't spray directly on the fan to where it's going to spin it up really fast. Get that back exhaust fan really good. You guys can just see the dust coming out of it. Get the side vents. Look at that dust. There we go. Get them front fans really good. Really needed it. Wish I could do it more often. But such a hassle to take a production server down. Like, you can keep your filters clean like once a month or whatever. Dust is still going to accumulate inside. We're not on the fans. Now, we're also going to remove them top 3 fans because I found out they're overkill. Just more noise and more dust. Unnecessary. All you need is the front 2 intake and the rear exhaust fan. You can also see they have a fan on the bottom too. Completely overkill. Unnecessary. So in this video, we'll also be removing the 3 top fans and the 1 bottom fan. So there's another view for you guys. You can see those fans still look a little dusty in the front there. So I'm just going to keep dusting away at it. But just provide you guys another view. See how I'm holding that fan in place and getting right on top of it? If I'm going to get right on top of a fan, I'm going to hold it in place. Mostly to protect the bearings of the fan. See how I'm holding the front fans now? I also got the side intake vents on both sides. Dusting off them top fans. Even though they're going to be removed, you might as well dust them off, right? Why mess with dusty fans, right? Getting inside the heatsink. If you guys haven't noticed already, there is a 10 gig SFP Plus Chelseo fiber card in there. That's for our 10 gig networking. A Seasonic power supply. Now I'm going to lay it down and just blow out the bottom of the unit. Just blowing off the bottom. Getting that bottom fan. Like I said, I'm dusting this out pretty well, guys, so I'd say it's pretty much dusted. Okay, so we got the file server downstairs in the workshop. Take the side panel off. And there's the inside of the unit. Our first order of business is to identify the failed hard drive. So what you want to note is the serial number. Usually like the last 4, last 5, whatever. You'll see on the front of the hard drives right there, they do show their serial number. So it shouldn't be too hard to match it up and find it. So right there, I think I've identified the failing hard drive. Like I said, all it is just matching up serial numbers. Okay, so I pull it out a little bit just to help identify it. So I'm taking off the back panel right now. That will give us access to the SATA power and SATA data connectors, pretty much the back end of the hard drives. Oh, there goes the back panel. So you guys can see me messing with the SATA cables. Right now I'm identifying the correct drive here. As you can see, it's not locked in to the hard drive tray. So what I did was I disconnected the SATA data and power, and there is the failed hard drive. And I always note where I got the hard drive, because ideally you want to buy from multiple vendors, and when the hard drive was installed. So there's the failed hard drive. This one I got from Newegg, and it was installed on October 20 something. There's a serial number, just matching up and make sure with our documentation, along with the model. It's a WD red drive, conventional CMR, back before they started doing shingled drives. So this was installed October 26th. It lasted until Q4 of 23. So the drive lasted how many years, guys? I'm going to note that the drive has failed. It's a bad drive. So the drive lasted approximately just over 5 years. And this is in a 24/7 operation running TrueNAS core. Back in the day, it started with FreeNAS, but FreeNAS turned into TrueNAS core. So this is a 4 terabyte WD red, 64 megabyte cache. Exact model is the WD40 EFRX. I did disable IntelliPark on all these drives when I installed the FreeNAS and set it up, so it wasn't parking heads or anything. And I wrote today's date that it has been decommed. So next thing we gotta do is remove this drive from the hard drive caddy. This is a Fractal design. I believe it's the R5 case. It's been a while since I built it, but I believe it's the R5, I believe. But it is a Fractal design. And the reason I chose Fractal design for this NAS build is their hard drive caddies are better than most. So you just unscrew the 4 screws on the bottom there, and then it just pops off, just like so. Okay, so we got our caddy all ready for the new hard drive. So here's the new hard drive. There's a serial number along with the model. So the replacement drive is a WD40 EFPX 4 terabyte. This is a CMR based drive, so conventional magnetic recording. That is very, very important for ZFS, especially when you do resilvers. You do not want to have an SMR or shingled magnetic recording based drive for a NAS. Make sure that you have a CMR based drive. It should say in the listing. So this is a WD Red Plus. Nowadays you have to get the Red Plus series to get CMR based. Now, just because it says Plus, do verify it is CMR based. So it's 4 terabyte WD-40 EFPX. Now, when replacing the drive on your FreeNAS or TrueNAS, as they call it now, or just ZFS in general, if you're using ZFS, it's important to have the same exact hard drive size or larger. If you do larger, you will not be able to expand your entire storage pool until all the hard drives have been upgraded to said larger size, and you had to have the auto expand property already enabled on the ZFS pool before you installed the larger drives. But it's important that you at least match the same exact amount or higher, and that you have the same sector size. They don't have to be the same exact model or brand hard drive, but it's ideal. And of course, if you're using ZFS or just TrueNAS in general or any type of NAS application, to use NAS rated hard drives that are rated to be on 24/7 and to be next to each other, a whole array of them next to each other, because the vibrations of all the hard drives being next to each other can cause some havoc for regular desktop consumer class hard drives. So with the new hard drive mounted in the caddy, we're just going to slide it back into the tray, and it should click in. So we're on the back end of this. We're going to go ahead and connect the SATA data cable to the new hard drive. It's just a red monoprice 90-degree angle SATA cable. And it will click in place. It has a locking tab. I got ones with locking tabs. Now I'm going to connect the SATA power connector, like so. And it is a little bit of a mess in the back end there. I could have used shorter SATA cables. Well, just an review. So our next order of business is to remove the top 3 outtake fans. These were completely unnecessary overkill. I don't know why I put so many fans in this system when I built it. I wasn't thinking. Having this many fans, all it will do is just make the system noisier and cause more dust, along with additional power usage. So we're just going to remove them like so. And as you guys can also see, I had like a makeshift shroud in there because the fans did not cover the entire top of the case. And I didn't want a big gap. But that will be removed as well. So once the fan's unscrewed, obviously you have to disconnect the cable from the fan header, but you got to identify what fan header it's going to and if it's tied into any splitters. And it's also probably zip tied to a bunch of other cables. So it's a bit of a process to remove existing fans, depending on how they're configured. So right now I think I'm tracing the wire with my hand to try to find out what header it's going to, what fan header. And I may have found it. So unscrew the remaining fans. Be careful of them screws, that they don't drop inside the case or anything. So just unscrewing it like so. Nothing much to see here. Another fan. Oh, and I was able to identify the fan header and remove that one successfully. I think the other two are tied into a splitter. So removing the middle fan. I will keep these screws. I'll put them in a little Ziploc baggie and label them as fan screws. Fan screws are pretty easy to identify just because they're kind of fat and they're that coarse thread, so they can like bite into the plastic frames of fans. And there goes that shroud. Take that right out of there. It was just a piece of cardboard that was cut to fit and pressure fitted. So now I just have to trace the wires back to the appropriate fan header or splitter. And that can be a process. Got my micro cutters out, so I'm going to have to cut some zip ties. Nope. Cutting some zip ties on the back. This is when I have multiple cameras. It come in handy so I can have multiple angles, such as the back angle. Got that one pulled out. Now I'll do the last one. Last one's probably going to be the most trickiest one, right? Will it put up a fight? Cutting some more zip ties. We may have gotten it, so just pulling it out. You don't want to apply too much force, like I said. You don't want to put too much strain on that cable if it is still zip tied to something. Like you'll know if it's fully free or not, just from the tension it's giving you, I guess. Ideally, I should be pulling it from the cable, not the fan. But yeah, there we go. We're getting it slowly by surely, guys. I just think it's tied into a Y splitter and cable managed, so it's all zip tied into multiple things. There it goes. The final top fan has been removed. Now I'm just removing that Y splitter that's still connected to the fan header. But it might be cable managed into things as well. So just disconnecting some remaining splitters, and top fans have been removed. Okay, since we got the top fans removed, we'll proceed on to removing that bottom fan. So I'll make sure there's nothing on the table, of course, before we lay the case flat down on the table. But I think I'm tidying up some of the cables that I removed. Tightening up the remaining cables, I should say. So I'm just doing some cable management. I may be trying to identify the path that bottom fan's cable is taking and what header it's going to. Okay, so we're going to lay the, well, maybe I'm not going to lay it down. Maybe I'm just going to hold it in place. So I'm going to go ahead and unscrew that bottom fan. Just like so. One screw to go. We're almost got it out. There we go. Now did I get the cable disconnected yet? Remember, this is a production unit. It has been running for a little over 5 years now. Well, actually more since I'm editing this video, but at the time of making that video, it's been in production 24/7 for north of 5 years. So it's getting some much needed maintenance to it. So I'm thinking I'm identifying where these fans connected at, and I think it's tied into a header there on the bottom near the front panel HD audio connector. Yep, I think I've identified it. I just unplugged it. Oh, it also had an extension. That's another thing. A lot of these fans, some of them are on Y splitters, but some are also on extensions. So you got to take all that into factor. There's that bottom fan finally removed, guys. Just like that. So there she is, my FreeNAS build, our TrueNAS. Hard drive has been replaced with a new one. Now it's just a bunch of final prepping. I cut a bunch of zip ties, right? So I'm going to have to go back through and recable manage a little bit and rezip tie, I should say. Rezip. So I'm not sure what I'm doing. Maybe I'm just inspecting the board, seeing how everything looks. Now, of course, when I boot the system back on, I will verify that the 3 remaining fans are indeed still working, because one of them could have been tied into a splitter that one of those top fans used. So, you always verify everything's still working when you're done, right? You verify all hard drives are showing up, verify the new one's showing up, verify everything is still in working order. But yeah, I'm just going over both the front and back of the board, just visually inspecting what remains to be done. Make sure nothing is amiss. So I just pulled something out. Could have been another extender or a splitter. Yep, see right there, I just set a splitter down. So right there on that table, that's a Y splitter. You don't want to leave that stuff in there connected if it's not being used anymore. It just clutters the system and can cause confusion down the road when you do maintenance on it again. So I do think one of the fans, I think the rear fan was tied into a splitter that shared with a top fan. So what I think I'm doing right now, according to my self-commentary, is I'm reconnecting that rear fan onto its own header now. And it looks like I need to use an extender for that now, since that fan by itself will not reach. So like I said, we'll get that fan connected back up into the new configuration. Now usually I tie the rear exhaust fan into the CPU fan header, because that is the fan nearest to the heatsink and has the most attribution to the CPU temps. So if the CPU is getting hotter, if you kick that rear fan up higher, which is right next to that heatsink, it's going to be able to, extract more airflow through that heatsink. So it kind of correlates with the CPU in a way. So I always tie the rear exhaust fan to the CPU fan header. And then the front ones, I'll either tie to like system fan or case fan or whatever headers. And those I'll base off like, motherboard temps or whatever. So going over it again, guys. The life of an IT system man. Nope, taking our zip tie off. Because I'm probably not liking how things are looking right now. Okay, so not sure what I was doing here. Probably just verifying that the cables are fully seated on the replacement hard drive. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I forgot to label the replacement hard drive, right? This is important, guys. So I'm labeling where I got the new hard drive from and when it's installed. So as you can see, this one I got from Amazon, installed November 15th of 2023. Snap it back in and connect it back up again. Yeah, a little annoying, but important to do, guys. It is. Because say the hard drive failed before the warranty expired, you can look up the warranty on that. Still within warranty, you can pull up the receipt from the correct vendor that you got it from and get it RMA'd. In this case, this one I did not get RMA'd. I just bought a new one. Not sure what the warranty is. I think it's 3 years. But it's north of 5 years, so I know it was definitely expired anyway. So, and I ain't gonna bother waiting around for an RMA. So, I need a replacement. I need it fast. I do run my TrueNAS in a ZFS RAID Z2, so I could lose up to 2 hard drives at once, and the pool would still be fully functional. But even if you have one drive go down, still you should have still some urgency in that, you know what I'm saying, and getting that drive replaced. It's your data at stake. Because if one drive failed, they're all about the same age. Another one might not be far behind, and especially when you do the resilver process, that's pretty taxing on all the drives. So sometimes when you do the resilver process, another drive will end up failing during the resilver process. Now, thankfully, spoiler alert, that didn't happen in this case, but something else failed. That we'll have to fix later on in another video, guys. But yeah, you still want to have some urgency. So I think I'm getting ready to do a power on self-test, do initial boot. Make sure the unit still boots. Make sure the 2 front intake fans and the rear exhaust fan are still working, connected up and working. Make sure the system's still functional. Make sure we didn't break anything, and the new hard drive shows up. So I'm getting an HDMI cable there, and then getting the power cable and just getting stuff ready to do our power on self-test. Now, when you go to get hard drives, when you build a NAS system, you're going to end up having multiple drives. What I do is I get half from one vendor and half from another vendor. You want to do that because if there was like a bad batch, chances are all the WD Reds from Amazon, the ones you're going to get, they're all going to be around the same manufacturer date, and they might be all around the same batch. But if I get three hard drives from Amazon, 3 from Newegg, like I did when I built this system back in 2018, the hard drives from Newegg were manufactured at a different time. They're a different batch. Hard drives from Amazon manufactured at a different time. They're a different batch. So that's a good practice to do. And if you're doing a really, really big VDEV, say 24 hard drives or whatever, or multiple VDEVs, divided by 3 vendors, just, it's a good practice. I'm connecting up a Ventoy drive. I connect the Ventoy drive there at the top. I believe that was to go in and boot a utility to disable IntelliPark on the new hard drive. Unfortunately, I think Western Digital has changed their firmware, and the utility, I believe it's WD Idle 3, no longer works with these new drives. So that's pointless. I'll probably cut it out of this video. But I did that back when I built this system back in 2018. I did disable Western Digital's IntelliPark, and they even have that on their NAS drives. What this does is when the drive is idle for a certain amount of time, it will park the heads, and that's not good on your heads. And this will cause a lost my train of thinking. But I'm going to the BIOS and just verifying some things, as you guys can see. Probably not a bad idea to update the BIOS while I was at it. We'll do that in a later video. So I booted an event toy. I'm going to reboot the system because I do not believe Hiron's Boot CD supports UEFI. It's probably going to be legacy only. I used F11 to show the temporary boot menu. As you guys can see, the UEFI OS Sabrent would be booting the Ventoy via UEFI, but the Sabrent by itself boots it via BIOS, as you guys can see down in the left-hand corner. I go down to Hiron's Boot CD, which I believe had the Western Digital WD Idle utility. So I'm trying to figure out where it was. Like I said, it's been a while since I've used the utility, so I didn't know offhand what menu it was under. So as I'm waiting for this to do its thing, hopefully I chose the right option. I noticed that the bottom fan is not spinning. So now I'm going to try Ultimate Boot CD. It may have been in that. Go under hard drive. When in doubt, look it up. There we go, under disk management, under WD Idle 3, version 1.05, which still appeared to have been the latest version. There it goes. Unfortunately, guys, I wasn't able to get it to work against this new drive, so they must have changed the firmware somehow. But it did work back when back in 2018 when I did it on the original drives. So as you see, we got Command Air there. It does not like that new drive. Okay, guys, many hours later, we've replaced the failed drive, removed unnecessary fans, did a little bit of cable management, and we are now back on the dashboard and ready to resilver. So we're going to go ahead and go to our pool. Click on pools right here, cabinet. We'll go ahead and click unlock, and we'll see what happens. Click unlock, starting job. Unlocking pool. Might take a little while because it doesn't see its full status. So as you can see right here, it is in a degraded state. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and SSH into the system. So I'm going to go ahead and restart. As you can see, this was before. See how it says unavail? We're going to go ahead and restart this session. And then root password. So if we do zpool status, you can see right here, all of our other drives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are all online. So what we'll do is we'll go to disk. And as you can see right here, we have 88.5, and it says NA. Click drop down, and there should be a... So you have to go to pool status. Pool options. Okay. Sorry. So you don't go through disk. Here I was thinking you go through storage and disk, and you could do it right in here, right? How it says NA. I would think it would be in here, but no, it's not in here. You click on the dashboard. You click on where your pool is. You click on pool status, and it's in here. Derp. And this is actually where you can offline and replace that. Okay. Now we're making progress. So it's under pool status. So right here is our third or our fifth, our failed drive. We'll click replace, member disk 88.5, and then passphrase. I believe that's your Gelly passphrase, right? Yep, that's the Gelly passphrase. So I'll go ahead and pull that. See, we figured it out. So replacing disk, blah, blah, blah. That's our Gelly partition there. We'll click replace disk. And now it's going to start the resilvering process. There we go. Formatting disk. There we go. Now we're making progress. There should be a minimize button on this. But yeah, basically, whenever you have a failed disk in your ZFS RAID array, once you put in a new one, the process of replacing the drive is called the resilvering process, where it will put the data on that new replacement drive. It has to calculate parity and stuff like that so it can regenerate the entire pool. So yeah, see right here, it'll say successfully replaced disk. Well, it's not fully done. Now it's going to start the resilvering process, which you can see up here. Completed, and it's going to give you an estimate, but that will update. And now it's going to resilver. So now it's going through and resilvering it. If we click up here, you can see right here, you can see it going up there. There we go. And this will use this is going to start using some CPU because it has to generate parity bits. Okay, resilvering pool, scanning. So there's that. Look at the task manager. Resilver doesn't pop up in here, but it does pop up right there. So now if we do a Z-pool status, you'll see right here, Resilver in progress since blah, blah, blah. 2.49 terabytes scanned at about 23 gigabytes a second. 7.54 gig issued at 70.8 megabytes a second. 7.28 terabyte total. 1 gig's being resilvered, 0.10% done. 1 days to go. You can see right here, replacing. So there we go. Now it's going through, and our state will stay degraded until the resilver process is fully done. So now it's replacing that failed drive. Resilvering. Okay. So you can see our CPU's working a little bit harder now because it has to go through and get that going. See, this will, our status will remain degraded. And if I go into here, where was I at? Storage disk. You can see 88.5 now shows up as part of cabinet. It's just not an NA drive. So yeah, if you want to add it as part of your pool or replace, you have to go through the pool status. And pool options right here. Click on that status, and there we go. This is where you offline drives and resilver drives. So remember before I said we were trying to look for the offline button? Well, we should have gone in here. You click the drop downs for the failing drive, and you click offline, and that will offline it. So there it goes. I suspect this will definitely be done overnight. We run the RAID Z2, so I can effectively lose up to 2 drives at the same time. Now, the resilvering process is a pretty intense process, so you don't really want to use your TrueNAS that much or hammer it too much because this is what's going to push all the drives the hardest right now is the resilvering process. But yep. So there's the status. I'll check it back again probably tomorrow. Let this run overnight, and I'll show you guys that the pool will be healthy and online again. Okay, guys, so now we're going to provide a follow-up after the resilver. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my TrueNAS. Okay. And as you guys can see right here, the main pool does show online with no errors. And if I go into SSH and do a Z-pool status, as you guys can see right here, all drives are online. So all 6 drives in the RAID Z2 are online. So the pool has finally been repaired. However, during this, another error arose. So if you guys can't see already, there is a drive now in the boot pool that has failed. So you fix one thing, another thing fails. So now we have a flash drive, part of the boot pool, that has failed. So if you guys look right here, unavail, DA1. Now that's a flash drive for the boot pool. So we have to fix this now. And another thing, if we do a Z-pool list, we can see also on our TrueNAS boot pool that we're eating up a lot of the capacity of the pool there. So we need to fix that as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into pool status, pools. I don't think you can see the FreeNAS pool on here. Okay, so if you guys look right here, boot pool status is degraded. One or more devices could not be open. Sufficient replicas exist for the pool to continue functioning in a degraded state. So the boot pool just consists of a ZFS mirror. You have two flash drives that have the same identical data on them. So when you read and write, they're basically going both drives. So if one fails, you have another one for redundant backup. So if that last flash drive fails, then you lose the pool, which the boot pool is just what stores the TrueNAS operating system. It's not what stores your files. It just stores the TrueNAS operating system that boots and also the configuration for TrueNAS itself. Nothing really to do with your pool. Your pool, all your files and data is stored on your main pool that's on your hard drives. The boot pool is just the operating system. So if the second one was to fail without me replacing it, the worst thing you'd have to do is you'd have to basically reinstall TrueNAS and have a backup of your TrueNAS config. That's all you'd have to do. But we are going to fix this, and it's been a while now because I had to wait to get replacement drives and stuff. But you could see also a scrub was done on the main cabinet, and it, of course, passed. But we can see right here another alert: space usage for pool FreeNAS boot is 77%. Optimal pool performance requires it remain below 80%. So what is causing this is if we go into, we actually have another update. We'll do this later. It's in boot right here. If you go into system boot, as you can see, whenever you update your FreeNAS, it stores the previous version, and these right here is what's chewing up your capacity on your boot pool. So you can go through here and you can delete a lot of these old ones. So you can see right here, 11.1 update 7. That was from 2019. So that's old. That's old. That's old. That's old. That's old. That's old. We'll keep these two just for now. So what we can do is we can delete all these old ones right here. You can see the active one, 13.0-U5.3. That's the one we're booted into right now. So we'll go ahead and hit delete on these. And this should clear up some space on this. Now, TrueNAS really nowadays doesn't really recommend you installing your OS, your boot drives, using flash drives, which that's what I used back when I did this. So this gives me the opportunity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these with M.2 drives, so they'll be more reliable than the NAND flash that's on a flash drive, because it's not really, they wear out pretty quick, especially when TrueNAS writes a lot of the syslog stuff onto the boot pool, which sadly you can't offload, you can't change where the logging and stuff goes on TrueNAS if you have an encrypted pool, which I have an encrypted pool, so it has to stay on the boot data set, which would be the two USB flash drives, which explains why one has already failed. It wore out. So we will be replacing those. So that cleaned that up. Now we're going to check the space now. So as you guys can see now, for FreeNAS boot, capacity is now at 33%. So that fixes that that problem there. So guys, anyway, thanks for watching, and that wraps up this video.